Hi everyone and welcome to Choice the Liberator extension series. And we have with us today Michelle Edhouse. Hi Michelle.
Hi.
Lovely to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me. Very grateful.
Yeah, and I love this topic, I love everything to do with creation and I love everything to do with creating your future. So, creating a future from choice. So, what is that all about?
Wow. It's something that actually I've only come to grips with recently, and the 7-day event here in New Zealand was a huge step forward for me. We were talking before that, you were listening to the recordings, and um, the work that we did on future at the 7-day has totally catapulted things into a different dimension for me. And I'm able to look back and see the places that have been in my life where I've been, everything's been flowing and easy and joyful, and stuff showing up that I'd actually like to have been where I've been creating my future deliberately rather than being in resistance and reaction to whatever's going on. So that's what I'd love to talk to everyone about today, because it's just the possibilities are infinite.
Yeah, and like what you were talking about, when things are just falling into place, everything showing up, and amazing things showing up which you haven't even considered. I mean, we all have, we've all had those glimpses. And how do you actually have that as your reality, or how do you choose that as your reality all the time?
One of the things that I've started using more often, and it's assisting to change stuff, is actually knowing what you're choosing. I don't know about you, but when I grew up, it was kind of, okay, so what classes are you going to do next year, when you're at school, or, what sport are you going to play, and it was always very defined, but only short term. With one of the tools that Access teaches, and Dane goes into it really beautifully in his Being You book, is it started being called the energy ball, but it's not a ball, but it's getting the energy of what you'd like your life to be and putting everything into it. And the other thing that I've started doing, which is actually creating a list of exactly what I'd like to show up, because when you actually sit down, and I got this from Lisa Murray from Creativity Lab, when you actually sit down and write a list of the things you're actually asking the universe for, it's actually tends to be quite small. And when you create the target of asking for more and more and more and more, the universe then goes, okay, cool, you'd like more, awesome, let's create that, let's help you to have that show up. So those are the two tools that I've been using a lot lately, is getting that energy of what you'd like your life to be, and also having a list of what you'd like to show up, of what you're actually asking for.
Yeah, and what I like about the list is, when you have the list and you kind of are looking at it frequently, you start to see how things are actually starting to show up. And, if you look at it like after a few months or so, you would have said, oh, that showed up, that showed up, that showed up. That's so much fun to actually have that. So, I've had a few questions come in and ask you some questions from our listeners. Um,
Awesome.
So, hey ladies, thank you for your contribution. My question is, I'm going to try to frame it. My body balloons up suddenly in seconds, and in a few minutes or hours comes back to normal suddenly. Also, I get physical stuff every time I'm fighting with a friend and family, like skin growth, throat infection, fever, drained, etc. So what is this? What do I do with it? And how do I change this?
Awesome. I'd love you to acknowledge how amazing your body is, that it can change on a dime like that. And what if you could start using it to your advantage rather than to what it sounds like to your detriment? With the ballooning of the body, I would really recommend. There's two major questions I'd recommend using here. First one would be, who does this belong to? And I'm sure you've gone over that tool a number of times on the series, Nilofer. Do you feel we need to go into that again?
Yeah, why not? Why not? It's always great to, get the basic tools in place and work with those.
Yeah, well, who does it belong to is one of the most basic tools of access. And Gary tells us that 98% of all of our thoughts, feelings and emotions are actually not ours. It's what we're perceiving from those around us in the universe, not just the people, but also the earth and the universe. And so the way you use this tool is you get the energy of what's showing up, so the ballooning of your body, and ask, so truth, does this belong to me, someone else, or something else? And whichever feels lightest is what's true for you and your body. And so if it's yours, great, then those questions that you asked, what do I do? What is this? What do I do with it? Can I change it? And if so, how do I change it? Would be your next step. If it's someone else's, awesome. Thank you, body, for this awareness. Can we return it to sender now, please? And if it's the Earth's, then doing some 1, 2, 3s of contribution to the Earth, then that's a great way to dissipate any built-up energy that may be creating that symptom in your body.
So, Michelle, can you go over that bit about the Earth once again? And what exactly is the 1, 2, 3, and how do you do that? And maybe we could do it together.
That sounds like a great idea. Awesome. So basically what the 1, 2, 3 is it's where you, go back a step, sorry. The bit about the Earth, we are so aware. We're little psychic SpongeBobs. And because we're all connected through consciousness and we're all part of the oneness of the universe, we're actually aware of what's going on for the Earth and what the Earth requires. And we've not been taught that in this reality. And so what tends to happen is we become aware of what's going on for the Earth, but don't acknowledge that it's to do with the Earth. So by asking the who does it belong to question, you get the awareness that it's something else, and 99% of the time it is the Earth that requires an energy contribution. So to do an energy contribution, what you do is you just pull all the energy and gather the energy together and gift it to the Earth on 3. And so literally it is just pulling all the energy together and 1, 2, 3. And you don't have to shake your hands, but it feels quite good to do the movement for me and for my body. So how about we do that together?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so just tap into the Earth, everyone. Oops, my computer's let going of it, so I can do the 1, 2, 3s. So tap into the Earth and perceive the energy that it requires that you can contribute. And everything that doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive that awareness, can we destroy and uncreate that, please?
Yes.
Good, bad, right, wrong, pot, all 9, boys, shorts, and beyonds. Cool. So now just gather all of that energy up, all of the places where you've stuck the energy in your body because you didn't know what to do with it. And on 3, we're going to gift it to the Earth. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. And let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Woohoo! Awesome. Now, one of the things that I find is really awesome to do is if your day just seems to be going really wonky and nothing seems to be working, just go outside and do 10 1, 2, 3s of gifting to the earth. And also Dane talks about doing 1, 2, 3, 4s of contributing to changing the future. And that literally similar thing, you tap into the future and everything that we can contribute to creating more ease and joy in the future, can we gift that on 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. So if your day is going really crappy, or you're screaming at the kids. No, never. My life is perfect. Nothing ever goes.
I'm the happy Dame.
So if you're having a day where you just every time the kids move, that you want to scream at them, that sort of day, go outside, 10 1, 2, 3s and 10 1, 2, 3, 4s, and if you're still not feeling happy, do it again. Keep doing it, because it tends to be where we are sitting stuck in an energy that once we start doing the 1, 2, 3s and 1, 2, 3, 4s, we connect in with the universe rather than being stuck in a little hole that wherever we've buried ourselves. So that's a way to create more joy in the now and future.
And I guess, if we were to wake up in the morning and do it every day regardless, I'm sure our day wouldn't be different, right?
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Then you'd be a far more happy person, and your body would be more joyful, and you'd have less pain and suffering, and people wouldn't actually want you around because you'd be too happy. I mean, that just would be terrible.
Let's infect people with happiness.
Yeah, what would it take for the planet to have 100% happy people on it?
Yeah, what would it? So I'm actually looking at some of the bullet points that you had sent in, with your topic. And this one sounds so yummy. So what have you created different in your life since you started using access tools? Websites, art, parenting, organized. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't put everything down on paper if I started to list out everything that I've been creating different since I've started using the tools of access.
Yeah, which is why, as you can see, there's very large topics that I've included there. Parenting. That's a very big topic in my world. I've got two boys, they're 9 and 11, and when I first became a parent, I did so because I was under the impression that if I didn't give my husband children, he would leave me. Now, since we've been doing access, I've actually spoken to him about that, and he's like, "No, I wouldn't." I'm like, oh, "You didn't tell me that." Obviously, I'd never give them back. Now I love them to pieces, and they're such a gift and contribution in my life. But because I was functioning from that space, I was always in around being a parent, and everything I had to do for them was a trauma, a drama. It took so much energy to actually be a kind, caring parent. And when other people said to me that I was a kind and caring parent, I didn't believe them, because how could you be kind and caring if you didn't want them in the first place? So that sort of stuff has all completely changed for me. I now really can see that the gift that they be, the contribution they be, both energetically and physically, and I allow them to contribute to me, and I allow myself to contribute to them, which that is massive in my universe. So from the parenting perspective, that's what's changed from using the access tools. And that was one of the things when I started doing the Access classes that I said, right, okay, I'd like to change this. And I started to create my future as a more joyful, expansive parent by choosing that. You know, as your summit name, Choice the Liberator, if you don't choose something, it won't show up. And I chose to start having a different reality around parenting with my children. I chose to start having more ease and joy with parenting, and you know, through classes with like Brendan Watt with Totally Different Dad, and Glenna Rice, the Questionable Parent. Those classes have opened up just lots of yumminess, and really grateful for those two specifically, as well as obviously the classes with Gary and Dane. So yeah, that's the parenting side of it.
Michelle, talk about websites, because it's like a lot of people I know still kind of look at some of the, the techno stuff, which I know you have amazing capacities with. So talk about that. How has that changed for you? Like, we had Sophie last week, and she was talking about how she has been doing video editing, and how she's been energetically matching the audio and the video together, and she was able to accomplish in 2 hours what used to take her 8 hours. So talk about websites and stuff like that, all things technical.
Yeah. Well, as you say, I do have talent and capacity with technical stuff. And I always have. I first got the awareness that I was a little bit different around that when I tried back when I was 13. So we're going back before Windows even existed. For those of you that are a bit younger than me, you may not know that Windows never existed, but it did. And back in those days, you had to use what was called MS-DOS, and it was literally you typed in CD to change directory and MD to make a directory. There was no pictures, there was no drag and drop, there was no click and type kind of stuff. And I tried to teach my mother how to use it, and she just couldn't get it. It just was so far out of her reality, so far out of her possibilities, that she just couldn't get it. And no matter how much I tried, she couldn't get it. And I was like, oh, so is this me that's different, or her? And I got the awareness that it was me. And by the end of my high schooling, I was actually teaching the computer studies class, and my the teacher was the dean of our year, and she would be off most of the time dealing with that stuff, and she'd just leave me to teach the class because I had that talent and ability with the technology. So needless to say, I went to university and studied computers and hated it, bribed other people to do my assignments, and all those sorts of things to get through. But then and I kind of pushed the computing away a really large part, and when I first started doing Access, my first facilitator, Moana, she asked me what I'd done before becoming a parent, and I said to her, well, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, well, what about before that? She was looking for what sparked me. I didn't realize it at the time, but she was waiting for me to list off something that went ping, and my universe went, that was fun. And I got to having done computer science at university, and she's like, oh, computers. You could build me a website. And I said, what? What does doing computer science 15 years ago do about anything to do with building your website now? And she's like, well, you've just learnt the tools, you've learnt how to question, go work it out. And I was like, ooh, rat bag. So I did, and I started using the Access questions, like, what is this? What do I do with it? Can I change it? Because I had the point of view that I couldn't build websites. So can I change it? Yes. Okay, cool. How do I change it? Who do I need to speak to? Who do I need to get information from in order to create this? And literally within 24 hours of her putting that in my space, I had started building my first website. And that's progressed, and I've built many websites since then. And it keeps growing, keeps changing, and I'm now currently developing my first mobile app,
Wow.
which has been built 3 times now. And I'm about to start the 4th, because every time I go, oh, this could be better, and I research it and go, oh, I could do it that way, and so then have to rebuild it. So, but really I created that future for myself where I went from being where I considered stuck, being an at-home mum with no employment prospects, to creating myself a business, doing something that I really enjoy. I love talking to people about what they require and getting an energy of what they require, how they'd like their website to be. And so by asking questions, I've opened up this possibility that has now also led me to working with Access Consciousness and Simone Miller's Joy of Business, doing the geek techie stuff, which is fun for me, and I love doing it, and I'm making money doing it, and I can do it from home, so I can still be an at-home mum, and it's kind of filled all those little niches that I required something that I added to my life to fill, which is very exciting.
So let's take another question from one of our listeners. So since using the tools of Access, I've been choosing for myself, creating more fun for me and my body, and getting in trouble with others for it, as I no longer live in a limited reality.
Yes!
Really bad, right? However, this creepy little creepy, and everything seems insanely busy with my family's demand that I can't find me to pock and pod anything. What's right about me that I'm not getting where I allow myself to be taken over? Can I just clear points of view, judgments, and everything be sweet?
Wow, okay. So the first question I'd ask this person is, truth, can an infinite being actually be taken over? And the reason I ask that is one of the things that I've found a little while ago was I was feeling very buried in the amount of work I'd created for myself. I kept saying, what would it take for more work to show up? And then it all showed up, and I had so much work, and then I had the kids requiring this, and all over the place I had requirements, and I was like, well, where am I? So I perceive I'm the right person to ask that question too, because I've been there. And I've used the tools to get out of it. So would an infinite being ever be overwhelmed? Would an infinite being ever be taken over? And when you have that awareness, you can actually look at it and say, right, what am I going to choose now? Because choice is, it trumps everything. It trumps pocking and potting. It trumps absolutely everything, because it literally is the liberator, as your summit name is. And so the question I would recommend that you could start to ask is, what choice can I make here that will create more ease? And another question that Dr. Dane gave me at one stage was, what energy, space, and consciousness can my body and I be to have total ease and clarity with this for all eternity? And everything that doesn't allow that, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, boys, shorts, and beyonds. And that particular one, I ran it 40 times before I actually started to see possibilities showing up on how I could change things and how I could choose something different. Um, and that word different, I just want to point out to people, it's not differently, because dressing differently just means wearing the same jacket in a different colour. Dressing different or choosing something different is completely different. Not just making a little tweak, it's actually what else is possible. What else can I choose here? So those would be the questions I would start with for that caller, that question. Was there another part that I haven't covered of that question, or have I covered that?
I think she's kind of talking about being taken over by family and things like that. So I think that's being just present, just being present. Because
Yeah.
because she is choosing that. So, what am I choosing that is creating this, and what else can I choose there?
Yeah, absolutely. And by choosing to be taken over, what are you avoiding? Is the other, I found that when I was choosing to be buried in the amount of work I had to do, I was avoiding choosing to create my future. I was burying myself in the now and not being willing to be present with the future as well as the present. Present with the present and present with the future.
Can I ask you something which is kind of related to that? So I've kind of been in that place where I had too much to do, and also I find myself sometimes having all this time on my hand, and literally I'll see myself, not doing anything. I mean, I will just, kind of. I am totally avoiding something there. What is that?
So there was two parts that you just asked there. Were they so when you've got a large list of list of things to do and you're not doing anything? Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean there's a time
Or
when
two
I'm really
separate
busy.
time periods?
Yeah, two separate time periods. So I'm really busy, and then I'm creating, and it's a lot of fun. And then I'll have this large chunk of time on my hand, and there could be a lot of things I could be choosing and doing, and I just find myself not doing anything.
Cool. So bright shiny things. I've got so many things that have popped into my head when you've asked that question. So the first thing that popped into my head was are you okay? There's two possibilities there, and it may be one of them for one period of time and one of them for another period of time. So have you been, when you've been really, 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 really busy, have you ever gone, oh, what would it take to have a break, some time out for me, or and
Totally.
then the other, yeah. So would you acknowledge that the times when you're not got anything to do is where you've actually created what you've asked for? And also the other side of it is something that Gary said to Simone, and it's usually, and this is more when you've got a big list of things to do, all you want to do is just lay on the couch and you literally don't move and you don't do anything, and you've got stuff to do but you don't. And Gary asked Simone one time, so is your body preparing for what's to come? So it's like, are you storing up the rest and energy levels because you know that in the next period of time you're going to have a large amount of body input required?
Wow.
And yeah, so those are two questions you can ask yourself. have I created this in order for me to have that relaxation time I've been asking for? And the other one is my body preparing for the future? Because our bodies are aware of what we're creating for the future, and sometimes they just go, dude, you want me to do that? I need some sleep, and I need some sleep before all this starts. Otherwise, we're going to have hell to play.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is because and I'm like, as you're talking, I'm looking at those things, and it's not like I have like days of it. It could be just like 2 or 3 days before the next big thing kind of shows up in my life, and yeah. Thank you for that.
Cool. So, and it maybe both of those are occurring. You've asked for a break, and your body's preparing all at the same time. How cool are you?
Yeah. So let's take another question. I have been doing whatnot to create money, developing websites, painting, writing, healing coaching. I'm in debt of around 20K, and whenever I receive any money, my debts increase. Can you help me, please?
Debts increase when you receive money. So the tool that comes into my awareness for that scenario is everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. And this is a great tool to use when things seem to be twisted and running in the opposite direction to what you would expect them to be. And statement. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be.
Sorry, Michelle, you're breaking up a little bit. Can you back up?
Okay. So everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. That's a weird statement that if you say it 10 times, it will start to unlock where things are twisted and seeming to function in reverse order to the way they're supposed to be functioning. Am I coming through clearer now?
Yes, thank you.
Great. So everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. And saying that 10 times can have something completely different show up. There's something else in there as well. Is that there's something there around what is that? There's something there around an oath, vow, swearing commitment to someone or something to never have money. But there's I can't quite grasp the full part of it, sorry. So let's run that anyway. So all their oaths, vows, swearings, commitments, allegiances, alliances, and promises to anyone or anything in this or any lifetime to never have money and to be indebted, will you now revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate all of that and return it to sender with consciousness. Good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pod, all 9 boys, shorts, and beyonds. Ooh. Yeah, that person may wish to run that a few times. And I get that there's something else in there as well, but I can't put my finger on it right now, sorry.
Yeah, so we may come back to it again if you get it.
Yeah, if I get it, I'll
so yeah, no, this is a really good one. In your points you've given, how do you make money from what you find fun and easy?
Yeah, that was one of the questions that was given to us in foundation when I first did my foundation class, and it was, so what do you find fun that you've never thought anyone would ever give you any money for? You know, it's so easy, it's so fun that you just can't believe anyone would pay you to do it. And I'd spent many months asking that question until I finally actually acknowledged that I was having fun playing on Facebook. And there were people out there that hate Facebook, but perceive it will be a contribution to their business to play on Facebook. And I actually got invited to work for someone and be paid to post on Facebook. And I couldn't believe it. I got to play with graphics. I got to, I got paid to post on Facebook. I mean, anyone who loves Facebook, which was something I really loved at the time, would go, what do you mean you got paid to work on Facebook? And it was just like, I couldn't believe that was, but I had been asking over and over again, what is it I love doing so much that I can't believe anybody would be willing to pay me? And I asked that and asked that and asked that and asked that until something started to show up. And about the same time, I actually started to sell some of the paintings I'd been doing as well. And in fact, I had 3 paintings sell to one person who had randomly walked into the gallery where they were and went, oh yeah, I'll have those for my healing centre in Europe. I was like, really? I'm in New Zealand and you're taking my paintings to Europe? And I had so much fun creating those paintings, and as if by magic, by asking that question, I made money from having that fun. So that's such a basic question, and yet how many people actually ask it? How many people have decided that what they have fun, enjoy doing, and find fun, nobody would ever pay them for? And so they don't even see the possibilities when they show up. Wow, okay, cool. There's a lot of energy on that. So how many decisions, judgments, conclusions, and computations has everyone on the call created and are functioning from that limit them from perceiving the income possibilities that are truly there? Everything that doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive those income possibilities, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate that, please?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, boys, shorts and beyonds. Yeah, because decisions and judgments stop future. If you have a decision or a judgment that something can't show up, or this is the only way that it is, or anything like that, then you will find that nothing else can show up. Like, for example, I decided that I wasn't going to be to work with computers anymore, and so I literally had stopped any possible flows of money from computers because I was I had that judgment. Now, how many what large percentage of the world's jobs these days actually require a computer. You know, it meant that I couldn't go back to working in a call centre where I'd been working before I had kids, because you're required to have computer skills and you're required to work on a computer. So when I decided that I wasn't going to work on computers, then that stopped any other possibility showing up. Once I actually destroyed that point of view and allowed the possibilities to start to show up, that's when I could start to create the future that I would like to live. Does that make sense, or am I going wonky?
And kind of what I'm perceiving is where people are in this place of yeah, but so for example, if like if I love going out for a walk, how do I make money from that?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that particular example, I mean, getting paid to walk other people's dogs. I know Simone Milasas loves going for a walk on the beach with her dog, and but while she's walking, she's working. She's coming up with ideas. She's being inspired. She's talking to people on the phone. She's making appointments. She's writing down little ideas that she has that she can do once she gets back in front of her computer. In fact, Steve Bowman said to her one time that he saw her on the beach, and he said, you're the only person that I can see laying on the beach, and I know you're working. And she doesn't have a computer with her on the beach, but she's always creating. And what if when we go for a walk, we don't stop creating our lives? We don't stop creating our future? What if that could be a contribution to having more fun? And I get it all the time. My body's sitting here going, oh my God, we're sitting down again. Can we move, please? And I find that if I get up and move, it may be just going and getting an armload of firewood, or it could be going for a walk. Once I get up and move, when I come back, I'm far more productive, and I get so much more done. So there's so many different ways that the energy can create money and can create a future if you're willing to follow that energy. And if I was to sit here and just go, no, I have to get this done, I'm sticking the energy and stopping it from creating greater. So yeah, that's
that's amazing. That is amazing, because it's again where you have already made up a point of view of how you're going to earn money, So if you're willing for just that, whatever you enjoy doing to contribute to your money flows, even though you are not actually getting paid for doing it, it's still creating a future, and it's still creating money for you, which is awesome.
And also asking, what would it take for me to get paid for doing the thing I love? Like part of my job for Access is approving the products that facilitators create, and to approve them, I actually have to listen to them, and I can do that while going for a walk. So, what if there is a way that you can get paid while doing what you'd like to create, and while doing what you like to do? And I remember hearing a story about a guy who had created a business, and it was an online business, and he was receiving $3,000 a month. No, $3 million a month, and he put in 2 hours of actual physical work into the business each month. So if he's playing golf, which he may love to do, he's still getting paid. So what have you decided about how you earn your money that limits money from showing up in other ways? Because if you've decided you get paid hours for dollars,
Wow.
can you actually receive a passive income? How many of us ask to win the lottery but have decided that we only earn money hours for dollars?
Wow.
Now, a $10 million payout for a 5-minute trip to the shop to buy your lotto ticket, how many of us are willing to actually receive that sort of hourly rate? You know, if you've how have you decided you earn your money? How have you decided you receive money? And from where have you decided you receive money? And everything that is, we destroy and uncreate it.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 boys, beyonds. Because if you've decided any of those things, then money can't show up from other ways. I remember doing a telecall series with Carrie Glassell, Right Riches for You, and she was talking to us about this, and I started pocking and potting every morning all the decisions, judgments, conclusions, and computations I had around money and how money showed up in my life. And I'd always decided that money just didn't show up in my bank account. And so I pocked and potted that, and then the next day I get a phone call from my mother, and she was dealing with some of Dad's property, and she'd sold something, and she rang me to find out my bank account number so she could put some money in, because she felt like contributing to me because she had some money. And she gave me $10,000. Now,
wow.
If I hadn't pocked and potted that, would there have been that space of me being able to receive, and her going, oh, I'd like to gift to Michelle? You know, it's like, where are we limiting our money flows that, if we weren't to limit them, could create the infinite possibilities of future that truly are possible? Wow, and everything that is times a godzillion can we destroy and uncreate it.
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 boys, shorts and beyonds.
Apparently, a few people have that, huh? So let's take another question. I have been doing a lot of processing in the past couple of months, and I feel life has become much easier and expansive. But I can't seem to focus on what I want to create or really choose anything. Is this a transition? Is this a transitional phase? Thank you.
So, yeah, this is definitely a space where people get to when they've been doing a lot of pocking and potting. And even Gary talks about the time when he just wanted to lay on the couch and not do anything. And this is exactly the place that you need to actually deliberately start choosing what you'd like to create. And it can be from as small as, okay, I'm laying here on the couch, okay, I'm going to make a coffee. Getting up and going and making a coffee. And just get into the habit of choosing to create something. And as you start deliberately creating from choice, you will start to actually expand that choice. And going back to that list that I talked about at the beginning, write down a list of things that you would like to have in your life, a list of places you'd like to go, a list of the things, the energies you'd like to be, the types of people you'd like to surround yourself with. And Lisa Murray talked about not just writing it as a I want list, but writing it in the form of a question. So if you were to ask, what would it take for me to have more fun people in my life? What would it take for me to ask and you shall receive, have a sexy man in your life? My husband just walked past. I got to watch his bum walk past. How did I get so lucky? And by asking it as a question, you're requesting of the universe to actually contribute to that showing up. But until you ask the question, you're not actually telling the universe that you're willing to receive it. So pocking and potting and clearing away the trees, it's like what you'd like to have is on the other side of the forest. And pocking and potting goes through and cuts all the trees down so you can actually get to the other side. But until you actually take a step and start to choose, and just choosing one step at a time, and also choosing the target that you'd like to create, the larger target, but choosing one step at a time. You know, I talk to a lot of people that I'd love to build an access business. I'd love to be a facilitator with hundreds of people in my classes. And it's like, so who have you spoken to today? So what would it take for people to show up in my life that are interested in the tools I have to teach? What would it take for people to show up in my life who'd like to give me money? And what would it take for me to be teaching classes with 100 or more people in them, paid people in them? You know, so it's creating that list, not just of the big things, but also the little things that contribute. What would it take for promoters to show up in my life so that they can promote me to people that I don't know? And so it's creating that list so that there's so many things that you're asking for that you've chopped down the trees and you're moving forward towards the things that you'd like to create as your future. So in respect to that person's question, start to choose for you. And for some of us, we've cut off ourselves so much that choosing for yourself does need to start with, okay, so would I like a drink today? Yes, I would like a drink. What would I like it to be? And choosing in those 10-second increments, I'd like to have a coffee. Cool. Go and make yourself a coffee. And then once you've made the coffee, would I like to drink the coffee? And just the choice, and then choose again, and choose again, and choose the big things, and choose the small things, and just keep practicing that choice. And that will start to open up the space that from where you be at the moment, from all your pocking and potting, to be able to create the future you'd like to create.
The other thing, you know, which I have been doing a lot these days is I actually look, you know, like as I am, you know, surfing on Facebook, or, you know, as I'm, you know, just in my life, and I look at what other people are creating, and I go, oh, I'd like to have that. Oh, I'd like to have that, and that's you know, just by saying that, even if I don't actually put it on my list, it actually starts to show up in, you know, maybe a few days, a few weeks, a few months, because I'm willing to look at that and go, oh, I'd like to have that in my life. You know, the other thing that I've also been doing is, as I'm listening to Access classes, and I look at, you know, some ways of being that people you know, like someone might have this generosity of spirit. So I go, what would it take for me to have that? You know, someone is like so playful and joyful, and then I go, what would it take for me to have that? So it's like, how would I like to be as a person? I'm also creating that, because even that is like a huge part of creating your future.
Absolutely. And the other thing that you just reminded me of while you were talking was, we talk about living life in 10-second increments. And one of the things that I've noticed that I used to do with lists that I've changed recently, that's starting to allow different things to show up, and it's more around the who I be things that you were just talking about than necessarily the having things, is keep choosing it. So what would it take for me to be that, and me to have that? It's like, it shows up. I be that, it's like, what would it take for me to have that generosity of spirit? Oh, I have it. But you then keep choosing it. What would it take for me to be choosing to have that generosity of spirit in everything I do for all eternity? And you keep choosing it and keep choosing it and keep choosing it and keep choosing it. And therefore it adds to your life rather than just be that 10 seconds instantaneous, oh, okay, yeah, I had that. And it's and that was one of the things I used to do with a list. I used to be a list of, I'd like to skydive, I'd like to go water skiing, I'd like to have a leather couch, I'd like to have a white picket fence and 2.5 children. And those things showed up, and then what else? What else?
Yeah, and then the other part of it is that when you've been asking for things and they show up, sometimes you kind of forget to ask for more. The what else?
Exactly.
So it's like, it's good to have time periodically when you're adding to your list as well.
Absolutely. It's not writing your list is not something you sit down and do once. It's something that you sit down
and you're updating.
You're updating constantly. And as you were saying, it doesn't always have to be a physically written list. It can be, oh, I'll have some of that, thanks, when you perceive it in somebody else's universe. And acknowledging when it shows up, oh, that's me being that. Oh, like I asked for, cool. Can I have some more of that, please? Oh, the leather lounge suite showed up. Cool, how awesome am I? And what else can I choose? It's that constant creation of future that, if we're willing to choose it, can be so much fun and so expansive and joyful. That I had a friend recently, and she had some bad news, and she was kind of sitting in that a little bit, and I said to her, so what could you create to go beyond this? And she's like, oh, I could create this, and oh, I could choose that. And instantly her energy shifted, and she started to see the possibilities beyond that news that she'd received. And she's so cool. I love her lots. But it was from choice. She didn't say, oh, I don't want to think about that, I just want to sit in my little hole. She went, oh, cool, yeah, what could I choose? What could I create that goes beyond this, that outcreates this? And so that's another awesome question to ask yourself in creating your future. What can I be or do today to outcreate myself?
Wow. And what you just said is so brilliant, because I know it's true for me, and maybe it's true for a lot of people. It's like that energy of creation is for me so exciting and so joyful and so expansive that I could be really down in the dumps, and then I get a glimpse of something I could create, and I'm like, hey, I want to do that. What else can I do? What else can I do? What else can I do with that?
Absolutely.
It's that energy of fun and play and stuff like that would be. Like, I remember the first time I was interviewing a lot of access consciousness facilitators. Like, I did it over a 3-day period. And three different facilitators, they were talking about the energy of play and the energy of fun and joy. And they asked me, so what is fun and joy for you? And I said things like, going for a walk, going for this, going for that. And they're like, don't you love doing what you're doing right now? I'm like, yeah. That's so much fun for me. So sometimes it's like things like you said, which are really easy for you. You don't even think you can make money from it. Absolutely. So, Michelle, thank you so much. This has been such an amazing call, and we've looked at different tools of access in like a totally different way. That's what I love with doing these interviews. It's like my hour of getting personal facilitation from all these amazing access facilitators. How did I get to be so lucky? Michelle, you wanted to offer our listeners a beautiful gift. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. My husband and I, Glenn, we're going to be running a telecall in June, and it's a 1-hour call, and it's what if you're not wrong? And it's something that has really shifted for us recently, and we'd just love to share that with whoever's willing to choose something different for them. And normally it would be $20. It's just a 1-hour, one-off call. But I'd like to gift it to the people that are on your summit listening for free. So
what I've done is, if you look, if you're on the event page, and if you look above the video, there is a link for free gift from Michelle. Just click on the link, and in the discount code, you will have to put in Choice the Liberator. So once you do that, you will get it as a gift. So,
absolutely.
Thank you so much for that gift. What if you're never wrong? And I mean, we go into the wrongness of us all the time, and that is something which literally stops the future, stops the energy of creation. So it's like so many people, they send in these questions, where it'll be like, I'm creating this, but this is not happening. So it's like they start that energy, and then they put in a caveat to it. However, that is not happening. So it's like you start the process of creation, and then you're cutting it off. You're starting this process of creation, and then you're cutting it off. So what would it be like to have no wrongness in our universe, I wonder?
Exactly. And what if the only thing that you can see is what else? What else is possible here? What can I choose now? Wow, that was an interesting choice. Now what can I choose? And instead of going to the, oh God, I shouldn't have done that. Oh my God, look at what I've created. Okay, cool. What else can I choose? And it just opens up the possibilities rather than shutting them down. So yeah, I'd love to have you all join us on that call and see what magic we can create together.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michelle, for this, and this has been really brilliant. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Nilofer. I've so enjoyed it. It's been so much fun, and thanks everyone for listening. It's very
Thanks,
cool.
everyone. Yeah, thanks everyone for listening now and in the future.
Yeah, awesome.
So, I look forward to having you once again, same place next week, where we speak to another Access Consciousness facilitator. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.